The rain fell like whispered secrets that afternoon in suburban Ohio. The sky, painted with shades of gray and silver, seemed to echo the quiet weight on Emma Carter's heart. At 24, Emma had learned life wasn't always fair, but her mother's voice still lived in her ears: when you can help, help. Even if no one else sees it. She stood in line at Green's Market, clutching a carton of almond milk, a loaf of bread, and a tin of soup, enough to get her through the next couple of days until her next paycheck. She worked double shifts as a waitress while studying to become a nurse. Her back hurt more often than it should, and sometimes she skipped meals so she could afford textbooks. But she didn't complain. She was one of the lucky ones. Ahead of her stood an old man with a trembling frame and a coat far too thin for the cold snap outside. His hands shook as he pulled coins and bills from his wallet, laying them on the counter. Emma noticed the cashier frowned slightly as the total flashed red. "Sir," the cashier said softly, "you're $12.47 short." There was a beat of silence. The man looked down at his items: eggs, milk, a can of beans, and a loaf of white bread. Essentials. Not luxuries. He began removing items slowly, his hands hesitant. "I can do without the eggs," he muttered. Emma didn't hesitate. "Put everything back on the counter," she said kindly. She reached into her wallet and handed her card to the cashier. "I've got it." The man turned, stunned. "Miss, no, that's not necessary." "But it is," she said, locking eyes with him. "Today, it is." The man blinked rapidly, nodding slowly. He whispered a thank you, his voice breaking. He took her hand briefly before walking out into the drizzle, groceries in tow. Emma never even asked his name. She didn't know her small act of compassion was about to rewrite her life. The rain intensified as Emma returned to her small rental home on the edge of town. Her socks were soaked, and she was exhausted. She curled on the couch with a textbook on cardiovascular systems, reading by the yellow glow of her desk lamp. Her phone buzzed with a spam call. She ignored it. Around 9 p.m., the sound of engines cut through the silence. Bright headlights lit up her entire living room. She parted the curtain, and froze. 3 sleek black SUVs were parked in front of her modest house. Men in dark suits stood outside, speaking into earpieces. Her heart pounded in her chest. Was this a mistake? Had something happened to a patient she'd helped at the hospital last week? A knock echoed sharply through her door. She grabbed her phone, trembling. Before she could hit the emergency call button, a voice called through the door. "Miss Emma Carter? We come with gratitude." Gratitude? She opened the door a crack. A tall man, clean-shaven and wearing a tailored suit, stood with a leather portfolio in hand. Behind him, the 2 other men remained respectfully back. "I represent Mr. Harold Bennett," the man said, handing her an envelope. "You met him today. At the grocery store." She blinked, stunned. "The old man?" He smiled gently. "The very same. He is not just an elderly gentleman in need. He is the CEO and founder of Bennett Industries, a man of vast wealth who has lived the last few years in quiet reflection after losing his wife. He's been searching for a sign. Today, he found it." With shaking hands, Emma opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter and a check. She gasped. $250,000. She read the letter, each word heavier than the last. "Dear Emma. In my world of boardrooms and numbers, I forgot the language of the soul. Your act today reminded me of the kindness my wife used to show everyone she met. You didn't hesitate to help me when I looked like no one. But I am someone who now sees you. Please use this gift as a stepping stone. If you choose, there's a role waiting for you at our foundation. The world needs more Emmas. With gratitude, Harold Bennett." Tears flowed freely. The man in the suit smiled gently. Mr. Bennet is waiting to speak with you if you'd like to meet him. Emma followed them to the SUV, dazed, where inside sat the same old man, now in a warm tailored coat, eyes twinkling. "Hello again," he said. Their conversation that night stretched into hours. He shared stories of his wife, their dreams, and how her passing had left a void he hadn't been able to fill. Until Emma. Weeks passed. Emma accepted the position at the Bennett Foundation, leading community outreach and health education programs. She returned to school, now debt-free, and even helped create a scholarship fund in memory of Harold's wife, Elaine. Her story became a symbol across media outlets, the girl who reminded a billionaire what kindness meant. But she never let the spotlight change her. She still helped at soup kitchens. Still bought groceries for strangers. Because real kindness doesn't look for reward. It just answers the call. One stormy evening, a young boy at a market tried to pay with pennies for a single candy bar. His hand trembled. Emma, now wearing her Bennett Foundation jacket, stepped forward. "Put it on my bill," she said with a smile. The boy looked up. "Why?" She winked. "Because someone once did it for me." And just like that, the legacy of one act of kindness continued its quiet ripple across the world.